I got all these questions in front of me, and they are extremely interesting questions. The first question is, after death, what becomes of us? Why were humans put on earth? Are you truly happy? Well, these are good questions. After death, what becomes of us? Well, because I have 5 questions, I really have to talk very briefly. We can't go through details, but I'll try to get with some succinct answer with the main points across to you. After death, what becomes of us? Another question that relates to this, why were we get born in the first place? We're born and then we have to die. We're born and we will die. After death, what becomes of us depends on what you have done in this lifetime, or depends on what you have done in your previous lifetime. And we call that karma. We brought along our body materialized into what we are today because of what we have done, not because of God, because of you, because of what you have done, what I have done. Let me give you an example. If in my previous life I have been a vicious person, I've been killing, I've been committing sexual misconduct, I've been stealing, and I rob, I do all kinds of criminal offenses, and then later I died. I hurt a lot of people without good reason. I just feel like doing it. I hurt my family members, I divorced my wife, I'm not responsible for my children, I don't care about them, I left them, I deserted them, I went somewhere else, I got married, and then I have 3 children. I still remember the first time when I came to Canada. I landed in Vancouver, and I was going to University of Toronto for my first year. So I took the CP rail, and at that time it was $32, very cheap. And I got a sniffing booth. And then there was a guy next to me, and we were chatting, we were talking, and of course it's a long conversation. And this man was going back to 1,000 mile house? Is that 1,000 mile house? 100 mile house. 100 mile house. Oh, where are you going? I think his name is Bill. Where you go? Well, after a long conversation, I said, where are you heading, Bill? Well, I'm heading home, 100 mile house. Oh, and then later I find out that he left home 5 years ago, and he had 3 children. The youngest when he left home was 3, and he just left home. He didn't feel happy at home, and he just left without any money. He just left and came to Vancouver. He didn't tell his wife whereabouts. He was gone. He was not responsible. And then he was carrying some sort of a blanket at the back. And later I find out that he had an injury at his back at work. And he had to be bound together by something at the back, some plastic at the back. And he was sort of in agony, a little bit of suffering. And then he said, I'm thinking of my home. I got 3 children. My wife's been supporting. Did you write to them? No, I didn't write to them. I just left. And he was not responsible. He didn't support his family. He just left. And 1 week before he decided to return home, he wrote to his wife. And he said, I think his wife is called Joan or something. Joan, I'm coming back. I'm sorry for what I have done. You know, I haven't been sending money home. I haven't been feeling happy. And you've been supporting the family, I think. And I really feel sorry. And I'm coming home now. And I would come home for good. I'm not going to go away. Is John okay? And all the other children okay? And all that. He wrote a letter to his wife. He didn't get a response. But he was expecting his wife at the station receiving him. And his children, some of them became teenagers, because when he left, The youngest was 6, and 6 plus 5 is 11, or the others would be 14, 15. And we were chatting, and then finally the train poured into the 100-mile house station. And I was more worried than him, because in my mind, I hope his wife is present meeting him. His children should be there meeting him. I was looking around, and he was looking around. Of course, I didn't get down the train. I was looking around for him, and no one in sight. And I feel very sorry for him. But on the other hand, he was not responsible. He quit his family. He deserted his family. What is the same as divorcing his wife? So, how do I get to this? I was talking about destiny. I was talking about the karma. So people who committed all kinds of bad things in the past, what they did in the past, when they came here, they carry that kind of energy with them. And somehow, why did people get divorced? Because maybe his wife, maybe he divorced his wife before, and his wife divorced him. So everything that you receive, everything that you suffer, or all those riches that you enjoy, is your responsibility. You have been doing it. You have been accruing to it. You cultivate the cause, you got the effect. So that's called karma. Now, of course, karma is a very profound philosophy that you really have to get into the internet to find out the meaning of karma. You brought along what you suffered. You brought along what you enjoyed. So after death, what becomes of us depends on your karma, depends on what you have done now. If you have been very generous, very helpful, you're helping out people, you help your country, and you haven't been selfish, you're a responsible mom, you're a responsible dad, and you're responsible in your job as a teacher, as a worker. You always be responsible, and you have the moral standard to upkeep you. You have been doing fine as an individual. You are a useful individual in the society. You haven't been ripping off other people. You're not building up bad karma. So if you're a doctor, you're a good doctor. You don't rip off people by just making money. And see, in this world, there are a lot of good people, a lot of bad people. And they're building up good and bad karma and indifferent karma. So the world is in your own hands. You create your destiny. You create your destiny now. You create your destiny in your next life. What kind of destiny you want? What kind of world you would like to live in? All depends on you. You cultivate all the causes that you would reap the effect. No one can pass the examination without studying. No one can get a good education without actually going through the education program. You have to have those causes. If you want to have good children in your family, you really have to pay attention to how to morally and educationally bring them up. You can't be a responsible father and you expect a good family. It's all causes put together to make things come true. In other words, you create it. Your mind created. So it's very important that you know what is right and what is wrong. You've got to do the right thing. You stay away from doing vicious things. If you're always helpful, you're always compassionate, then you're building up good karma. Watch your own karma. Karma is not just action. Karma originates from the thought. So you really have to start with that good, meritorious, unselfish thought in your mind. So don't be like this person who was in the train with me, irresponsible, just deserting his family, doing all kinds of bad things. What's the result? His family wouldn't come to the train station to meet him because there's no love in the family. The love is long gone already. If a father does not express any love to the children and to his spouse, what else is in the family? You got to build up a good family. So, what becomes of you depends on what you're doing now. Every action, every thought must be compassionate, must be for good, Do not cultivate vicious thought in your mind. Do not do any bad deeds. Stay away from bad deeds. Only cultivate good deeds and do good deeds, do good thoughts. What becomes of you? Do you know why there were rich people in the world, healthy people in the world? Because in the previous life, they are extremely generous. They always make donations. They're always helpful. In this life, they become rich. In their previous life, they kill a lot of animals. They hunt. They take away lives of animals. And what happened in this life? Short-lived, unhealthy. So, who is accountable for your pride? You, yourself. You be careful with your action, your thought. From tomorrow on, do not just do whatever you want. You always think of the cause and effect. If I do this, what kind of effect will come out? If I'm helpful, if I help this family, it's a good cause. If I go on sexual misconduct, it's a bad cause. I'm not going to cultivate a bad cause. I'm not going to do this just because I like it. Would it hurt other people? You always have to consider others in what you're doing, not just your own selfish motive. So if you ask me, after death, what would become of you? You'll be a nice person. A person that stays away from bad deeds. That's the basic. And then you still have to spiritually lift yourself up. Fine, I'm a nice person, but how come I still have to go through life and death? Because of my previous life, I'm rich, I'm healthy, I have a nice family. That's because all the good deeds I have done. Now I become a nice person, good person. I'm enjoying all this. But how come I still have to die? How come I still have to suffer from sickness, from aging? Find out more about it, not just this life, not just life after death. The Buddha told us a lot about this. Are you interested in finding out more? It's in the Buddha's teaching. For 2,600 years, the Buddha has been telling us what happened after death. Trying to find out. You're not going to get all the answer in one sitting of a lunch in here. You've got to find out more. Are you truly happy? Are we happy? We always have been saying living is in pursuit of happiness. I mentioned that in the hall. We want to pursue happiness. And we know that happiness is not to be pursued. Happiness ensues. In other words, happiness follows from something. If you're always, I'm pursuing, I'm looking for, I'm always looking, greedy for more happiness. I'm greedy for wealth, for reputation, for money. I'm greedy for happiness. It just increases your greediness of pursuing and looking every time you want to look for that thing. Happiness is not to be pursued. Happiness comes from something. There must be a reason to be happy. Just as laughter. You want people to laugh, you got to give a good joke. The laughter comes from the joke. Happiness comes from something. What's that thing? Happiness comes from understanding yourself, understanding your mind. How do I live? How do I lead a good life? What is my view on life? Changing your view on life would change the whole world. How can we change the world? Changing our view on the world. What should be my view on the world? The Buddhist teaching contains it. Why don't you research more into it? Not just about religious blind faith. It's about analyzing, understanding the true meaning of life. Buddhism is a true living style. A style that happiness ensues, that happiness flows from it. A style that you should not look for it. It just comes with it. Are you truly happy? Depends on how you view your life. Depends on your reason to live. There must be a reason for happiness. Look inside for happiness, not looking outside for wealth, reputation, money, cars, house. I have a house and I want another apartment. I want to make investments, I want to make all the money. After you got billions of dollars, you still feel unhappy. I want to get a good wife, a good husband, good kids. And once you got them, what happened? You still feel unhappy. Because later you find out that your wife's gone with another person and your kids are betraying you. They're not reacting as good teenagers. The family is broken. Why? Is money, just money accounts for happiness? Status, wealth? If you don't have that peace of mind, you don't have happiness. Happiness comes from something. From somewhere? Peace of mind. Do you have that peace of mind? You can have billions of dollars and you don't have that peace of mind. If you got billions of dollars from drug trafficking, you're always afraid that someone is going to follow you at home. Someone's got a pistol trying to get you. Or the cops is going to get you. Or your competitors are going to get you. You're not living comfortably. You don't have that peace of mind. You have a lot of money, but you don't have that peace of mind. First question answer. I can't go on if I linger on this, because this question is about a whole teaching of Buddhism. A book can be written on this. You need a Buddhism 201 and 202 for this. 2 semesters. So you're trying to learn everything in one question. Can you please repeat the 4 minds? Matter plus, no, not the 4 minds, the 5 scanters, the 5 aggregates, 五蕴, 5 scanters, 5 aggregates. What are those? We are made up of what? We are made up of the 5 scanters. That's what the sutra says. This is made up of matter, you can write it down, matter, and then there's 4 others. Matter refers to the body. This 4 refers to the spiritual world, the mind. How do you perceive the world? Your eyes, your ears, your nose, your taste, your body, your touch. Your senses interact with the world. That's your perception. You perceive everything inside. That make up of you. You can hear, you can listen, you can see. After you see something, you conceptualize it. This is good, this is bad, this is beauty, this is ugly. This is wealthy, this is poor, this is tall, this is short. You're discriminating. You're judging, and sometimes, most of these instances, you're judging it wrongly. Use conceptualizations and volition. After you perceive, after you conceptualize, you carry things into action. After you carry things into action, it all stored in the energy of consciousness. It's all in the consciousness. And when you reincarnate, when your body dies, everything shrinks into one thing. That's the consciousness, the alaya consciousness. And that consciousness is energy that is invisible, but that would reincarnate, according to your own karma, into the bodies next. You're Jung in this body, you're Janet in the next body, you could be Bill in the 3rd body. You're changing your body. I always give the example that as an individual, you are just like a passenger. You're just like a tourist walking thousands of miles in living. You're one person, you walk thousands of miles, and then you come to an inn. Holiday Inn or whatnot. You come to an inn, you enter that inn. That's your body. And that body is due, you come back again, you enter another inn, another hotel. We go from one hotel to the next, one form to the next. This is a hotel of a woman. This is John. And this guy is a drunken, is a wino. I have been a wino for all my life. I died because of drinking. My next hotel was a man. And I suffered. My 3rd hotel, I'm a rich guy, I become a rich guy at the 3rd hotel. So you went into all these different hotels. You were changing your form. But that person is still that person. You haven't changed. That person is still that person. but you are changing your form. That person is your consciousness, your alaya consciousness that gets into different forms. But that consciousness is unchanged. That tourist, that passenger, is not changing. Don't mistakenly identify that inn as you. That's only your body. This body is an inn, is a hotel that you live in. When the time is due, you got to go. The concierge said it's time to go. Check out. You own this much. You make the telephone calls. Here's the bill. That's you got to pay. I don't want to pay. Sure, you don't want to pay. You pay in the next life. You own that much. Don't owe anybody money because you got to pay finally. You can't get away with it. Cause and effect will get even with you. It's just like that's been stored in the memory. You won't get away. All the bad deeds you have done, you think nobody else knows? It's stored in the consciousness, in the energy. You can't cheat your own energy, you know. It's your own energy in there. You can't cheat your consciousness. You know. You commit that crime, you know. Nobody has to tell you. You know. You can get away in this life, but not next life, or the one after next. So, that's the 5 skandhas. What else do you want me to say? Another Buddhism 301 for that question. Next, does Buddha reincarnate as a woman? Buddha Sakyamuni, who lived in this world 2,600 years ago, is one of millions of Buddhas who exist in this world. Not just one Buddha. He exists in this world, he introduced. It's just like he exists in this world, he was in a forest of confusion and mental afflictions and suffering. He was in this world with us, a world of suffering. He found that map to get out from the world of suffering. He found that map. He already have walked out, and then he said, I don't want to leave my folks behind. I want to go back. I want to go back. This is the map that I got out from this world of suffering, and I got to show them this map. So he came back. He came back to show us. This is how you can get out from the world of suffering, and that's Buddhism. Are you going to look at that map to get out from suffering? Or you don't care, you just keep on suffering? How do you respond to suffering? Usually, an average individual would just respond any kind of suffering emotionally. Suffering comes up, I just cry. I just feel grief-stricken. I feel disappointed. I feel a lot of anxiety. They use emotions to interact with suffering. Can you use wisdom to interact with suffering? It's more important to use wisdom and not emotion to interact with suffering. And some people use extreme emotions to interact with suffering. Yelling, shouting, fighting, counter-killing, genocide, wars, fighting in the family, arguments, throwing things around, smashing things. We usually interact with suffering that way. Bang the table. The Buddha said, use wisdom. Use wisdom to interact, to go beyond, to transcend, transcendental, to transcend suffering by using wisdom. So the Buddha has been reincarnating, and he came to one life that he got that map. After so many reincarnations, so many learnings, that he got that map to get out from the world of suffering. He was on the verge of it. And then pondering about it, he did not want to leave his folks alone. He wanted to come back. So he come back and showed us that map. And that's in the Buddhist teaching. Can you find out more about the Buddhist teaching? Next. Hello, thanks for answering my question. I haven't answered yet. The following are the 2 questions. What's dream? Is it another world or just the subjects that we've been thinking about during the day? There are moments in my life that were totally familiar and repeated. What are they? What's dream? Very complicated. If you find out books about dream, there's more than 1,000 books written on dreams. But basically dreams, if we just say it briefly, dreams is about your past and about what you experience in the present. What's the past? Because we talk about a consciousness, a light consciousness. Whatever you have done, whatever you thought, is all stored in the computer of consciousness in your mind. It wouldn't get away, even a thought. So it's very important that you have that decent thought in your mind all the time. If you don't have a decent thought in your mind, you throw it out. Meditation is about always maintain that mindfulness of good, decent thought in your mind. Whatever thought you have in your mind, it got registered in the memory. Through what? How do we get into my memory? How did you get into the memory? Through computer. The keyboard. What are your keyboards? Your eye, your ear, your nose, your touch, your taste. These are your keyboards. This is how you interact with the world. When all this gets into your keyboards of eyes, ears, nose, and tongue, it gets into the disk drive, your alive consciousness. It gets stored in there. When my body goes, when I'm dead, that consciousness still, that memory still remains. And now I have a different body. The example I gave, I'm living in another inn, another hotel. That consciousness has that energy in there, and sometimes at night when you're sleeping, that consciousness sprouts. It interacts. It's just like a whole agricultural land of sprouting seeds. You already have those hidden seeds in the soil. And when you are sleeping, because of the interaction of the daytime, some of these seeds get activated. So the more in your daytime you activate with decent behavior, with behavior that is helpful, with behavior that is not egoistic, with behavior that is decent, all these decent sprouts hidden in the ground, in the soil, they get activated. Because you think about good things at daytime, about compassion, being helpful to people, responsibility, moral standard, all these good things. At night, activate your good beans, good sprouts in the soil. It activates. So if you have bad dreams, you got to watch out. Maybe you need to improve your thought. If you always have, at the daytime, have the thought of killing, then your dream wouldn't be a good dream. You have bad dream. All these seeds about killing will be activated. If you always have this thought about being helpful, all these seeds of compassion and charity will be activated. And sometimes they come out in your dream. So this is regarding the past. And sometimes it happened that what you did in the daytime still remains in your consciousness, and it hasn't been hidden yet, so they're just being activated again. So sometimes if you examine your dream, you know what happened to your recent behavior. If you always have bad dreams, you really have to watch out. Maybe you have that bad thought in you that you really have to, as I mentioned in there, the average person, temporal person, only know how to cleanse the body every day, taking a bath, without knowing how to cleanse the mind every day. Do you cleanse your mind every day? How do you cleanse your mind every day? By contemplating within, by doing meditation. Have I done anything wrong today? Or can I improve on what I'm going to do in the future? Whatever the mind can conceive, the mind can do. Always cultivate the good mind in you. I want to do all these good things. So always have time for self-contemplation. So dreams is regarding the past and about the present. And if there are some moments that you have what do you call deja vus sometimes? Deja vu. Have you experienced any is it called deja vus? Sometimes you have deja vus. I remember when I went to different places, new places, be it Victoria or Nanaimo or Banff or Lake Louise. Sometimes I remember when I went to Thailand, I entered into an old palace made of wood. And when I was there touring around looking at furniture, I thought I'd been here before. Everything looked so familiar. So I was always thinking, maybe I was a monk in Thailand before. Because when I watch all this royal families, furniture, I feel extremely happy in the first place. I feel delighted. And secondly, I feel that I've used it before. I sat on it before. And I don't know why I have that kind of feeling. And sometimes before I even go to a place, when I enter that place, oh, I've been thinking about this. That's a deja vu. I thought about this 2 days ago that I'll be in here. So all these things happen. It happens all the time. It goes to prove one thing. You don't only have this life. You have previous lives. You are carrying forward your life. You enter into another hotel, this present hotel that you are in. You are in this hotel. Somebody has a good hotel, 6 stars, 6 stars hotel, they're enjoying themselves. And somebody have 1 star. They're suffering. They don't have enough water, they don't have enough food. And some people have a mansion to live in. Everybody takes a different hotel. Somebody have a hotel that is almost worn out, sick, gloomy, unhealthy. Why are we in different hotels? You chose it yourself. You cultivated it yourself. You build your own world. So make sure that you watch what you're doing in this lifetime. All right, it's 12:15. Last question. What is your ultimate goal? My ultimate goal? Good question. Why don't we ask about your ultimate goal? If you want to ask me my ultimate goal, it's a difficult question to answer. My ultimate goal. Well, my ultimate goal, if I really have to answer that, is I like to walk the Bodhisattva's path. In other words, I always like to render myself like Buddha is doing. We want to render compassion out. I can imagine me in this world of suffering, suffer with the individuals that I'm living with. So why don't we find our way to get out? Why don't we find out a way that since we're in suffering, to lessen the degree of suffering, to render out, to give out what we can do to promote the Buddha's teaching so that we let everybody cleanse their mind. Imagine if every mind is pure, if every mind is without defects in it, wouldn't it be a better world to live in? Because this world is full of minds of greediness, anxiety, sexual misconduct, killing, lying, crimes. So if we communicate a message saying, let's clean our mind, let's purify ourselves. So wouldn't this be a better world to live in? So I think my goal is to give as much as we can. And in the process of giving, I am enriching myself. I'm cleansing myself at the same time. So I'm always thinking of, I cannot be detached from a sentient being. A sentient being suffering is my suffering. I cannot be away from the suffering. So we suffer together, but we find a way to end the suffering. So if the goal, we walk the Bodhisattva's path, or we walk the path of Avalokitesvara and Siddhagarbha Bodhisattva. See, it's only by giving out more and more and forgetting about ourselves that we become non-egoistic. So the first thing we want to learn is to give as much as possible. Whatever good things to give out. You won't just enrich yourself. You give. Giving is more blissful. Something simple. The goal is to give. And the goal is to let people to read the Buddha's map, to be away from suffering. Not many people will be willing to read it. Not many people will be willing to even lay their hands on it because they've been influenced by their own karma. Let's get the message through. Karmic force has been dominating us. We want to get out. We don't want to suffer. If every mind is pure, this will be a purity world. A purity world is without suffering. We have to deal with it from the basic, the mind. And that message we have to pass through. All right. I don't want to hold you for long, and I don't want to maintain that I want to be learned as a saint. I'm as ordinary as possible. I'm a temporal person. I'm an ordinary monk, but let's do something extraordinary. Everybody would have peace of mind. All right.